This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman with this Black History Month special. Back in 1993, Dr. Maya Angelou recited her poem On the Pulse of Morning at Bill Clinton's first inauguration. She was the first poet to make an inaugural recitation since Robert Frost at John F. Kennedy's inauguration in 1961.
Mr. President and Mrs. Clinton, Mr. Vice President and Mrs. Gore, and Americans everywhere. A rock, a river, a tree, hosts to species long since departed, marked the mastodon, the dinosaur, who left dry tokens of their sojourn here on our planet floor. Any broad alarm of their hastening doom is lost in the gloom of dust and ages. But today, the rock cries out to us, clearly, forcefully, "Come, you may stand upon my back and face your distant destiny, but seek no haven in my shadow. I will give you no hiding place down here. You, created only a little lower than the angels, have crouched too long in the bruising darkness, have lain too long face down in ignorance, your mouths spilling words armed for slaughter. The rock cries out to us today, you may stand upon me, but do not hide your face. Across the wall of the world, a river sings a beautiful song. It says, come, rest here by my side. Each of you, a bordered country, delicate and strangely made, proud, yet thrusting perpetually under siege. Your armed struggles for profit have left collars of waste upon my shore, currents of debris upon my breast. Yet today, I call you to my riverside, if you will study war no more. Come, clad in peace, and I will sing the songs the Creator gave to me when I and the tree and the rock were one. Before cynicism was a bloody sear across your brow, and when you yet knew, you still knew nothing. The river sang and sings on. There is a true yearning to respond to the singing river and the wise rock. So say the Asian, the Hispanic, the Jew, the African, the Native American, the Sioux, the Catholic, the Muslim, the French, the Greek, the Irish, the rabbi, the priest, the sheik, the gay, the straight, the preacher, the privileged, the homeless, the teacher. They all hear the speaking of the tree. They hear the first and last of every tree speak to humankind today. Come to me, here beside the river. Plant yourself beside the river. Each of you, descendant of some passed-on traveler, has been paid for. You who gave me my first name, you Pawnee, Apache, Seneca, you Cherokee Nation, who rested with me, then forced on bloody feet, left me to the employment of other seekers, desperate for gain, starving for gold. You, the Turk, the Arab, the Swede, the German, the Eskimo, the Scot, you, the Ashanti, the Yoruba, the Kru, bought, sold, stolen, arriving on a nightmare, praying for a dream. Here, root yourselves beside me. I am that tree planted by the river which will not be moved. I, the rock, I, the river, I, the tree, I am yours. Your passages have been paid. Lift up your faces. You have a piercing need for this bright morning dawning for you. History, despite its wrenching pain, cannot be unlived, but if faced with courage, need not be lived again. Lift up your eyes upon this day breaking for you. Give birth again to the dream. Women, children, men, take it into the palms of your hands. Mold it into the shape of your most private need, sculpted into the image of your most public self. Lift up your hearts. Each new hour holds new chances for new beginnings. Do not be wedded forever to fear, yoked eternally to brutishness. The horizon leans forward, offering you space to place new steps of change. Here, on the pulse of this fine day, you may have the courage to look up and out and upon me, the rock, the river, the tree, your country. No less to Midas than the mendicant, no less to you now than the mastodon then. Here, on the pulse of this new day, you may have the grace to look up and out and into your sister's eyes and into your brother's face, your country, and say simply, very simply, with hope, good morning.
Maya Angelou, reciting her poem on the pulse of morning at President Clinton's 1993 inauguration. This historic moment is chronicled in the new documentary Maya Angelou and Still I Rise, which debuted last month at the Sundance Film Festival in Park City, Utah, where I sat down with the film's co-directors, Rita Coburn-Whack and Bob Hercules, as well as Maya Angelou's grandson, Colin Johnson. Let's jump way forward to the Clinton inauguration. Colin, were you there?
I was.
Where were you sitting?
Right at the top.
So
next
this
to
is
Barbara Streisand and everybody else.
This is 23 years ago this month.
Yes. Wow.
And this is when Maya Angelou recites the poem on the pulse of morning.
Yes.
I was asked would I consider writing a poem for President Clinton's inauguration, and I said yes. And then I started to pray and ask everybody, little children, what do you think? History, despite its wrenching pain, cannot be unlived, but if faced with courage, need not be lived again.
That poem is a kind of like an eternal gift to America, and it'll read well 100 years from now.
As she read this, Colin, that's Grandma up there.
Yeah.
She's the poet of the nation. What were your feelings?
I mean, she had already surpassed Pride, years before that.
How old were you?
I was in high school. I was 17. And really, I think it's an interesting time to actually think about, because I think I'd only really realized who she was at like 14. Right, we had been traveling. We were in London or something like that, and a woman like screamed, and I'm like, we're in a totally different country, and she's amazed to meet my grandmother, and so that really kind of brought it full circle. We had actually just come back from Ghana. I'd gone to Ghana with her as well during that period of time, which is my first trip back to Ghana, and I mean the amount of pride that you have in somebody that's your grandmother that is been selected by the leader of the free world to come and be part of this ceremony that brings them into an amazing presidential term. It's hard to imagine, or hard to even put into words how big my heart is and how full my heart was at that moment, just to stand there, just to see her do that. And then the words that came out of her mouth, I mean, it's just transformative is almost the only way to describe it. And the message and the feelings behind it, she did not speak without purpose. And she did not write without purpose. So when she stood up there, she had a message to deliver. And for those that were able to listen and attain it, I think that they were changed.
As we wrap up, you have a very unusual approach in this film of having Dr. Maya Angelou complete her own sentences in different time spans, and she'll go from a conversation that you have with her to a speech that she's giving, and it's all in one sentence, a continuous sentence. Talk about how you piece together this documentary about this remarkable woman's life, but also what you were most amazed by.
Well, you're right. I mean, we had a wealth of archival material. One of my favorite scenes that illustrates what you were talking about is she's talking about Porgy and Bess, and Alexander Scollins, the director of the show, said he wanted her to sing an aria, but she didn't know an aria. So he said, well, surely you must know a gospel, some kind of a, something from the church. And so she performs it. And the rest of the cast is actually jealous because it's such an amazing performance. And we cut back and forth of her singing it from a 1982 clip that Bill Moyers had done at Stamps, Arkansas, back in a church that she had attended, or she was there in 1982. And then we cut from her singing this piece to our present-day interview, and she's right in key. It's an amazing moment for me that she can, at this age, come right back to that. And so you're right, we were able to constantly go back and forth between the archival pieces we had to the present day. We were lucky enough to interview her about 3 times, 3 different settings before she passed. So we had a lot of material to work with.
And it was a large body of work. And I remember when I first asked her, would she do a documentary, she gave me a look of, do you know what you're asking? And I didn't quite know. But once she agreed to it, she was very helpful. And I remember once she called us up and she said, how's it coming? You know I'm not getting any younger. And so she was very aware. But we also had to be aware that we were taking her back. She had done the books, and she could now just live her life. And we were asking her to come back and relive it again for us. And she did that to the extent that she relived every scene. And I think it was cathartic for her. I really think it was good for her.
And what do you think Dr. Maya Angelou's life tells us about American history, race, and racism?
It is really, she would often quote James Baldwin, we're in these yet-to-be United States, and that's still a fact. We're in these yet-to-be United States. Racism is alive and well. We must not be defeated by it, but we must protest, and we must be a part of getting rid of it to the extent that we can. And so I think that she would be happy with the fact that we pull this together in her honor, but we're still saying the same things. You must not be defeated by this, but you must fight it.
And finally, Colin, what you learned from this woman who you shared with the world?
I'm not going to spend an hour telling you everything I've learned. What I will say is that she brought me to this moment. And she would tell me that I'm the hand at the small of your back. I may let you stumble, but I will never let you fall. She has played a third parent role in my life, my entire life. And, you know, the sense of pride and the ability to walk out the door knowing that I have this woman in my corner has allowed me to do many things. And I'm just so appreciative of Bob and Rita here to have put such heart into this project and to really care about it and to really nurture it to its completion. And I'm proud to be sitting next to them, and I'm proud of this documentary. It's the first of my grandmother's life, and it's just an amazing step forward for people to learn about her.
Colin Johnson, the grandson of Dr. Maya Angelou, along with Bob Hercules and Rita Coburn-Whack, co-directors of the new film Maya Angelou and Still I Rise. I spoke to them at the Sundance Film Festival in Park City, Utah. If you'd like